Hi there. Thank you for joining me for class today. My name is Anna. This is my little co-pilot today, Jasper. And for today's class, I am drawing on some inspiration from two physical therapists that I follow, Laura Hyman and Mike Reinold. And they've been talking a little bit about this idea of looking at movements in the context of being optimal or suboptimal versus looking at them as like right and wrong or good and bad. So I wrote down some notes and some thoughts that I had on this topic. I'm just going to read from here because I have a really good habit of forgetting what I'm going to say as soon as there is a camera on me. And so I think that viewing things as suboptimal and optimal really allows us to be more intimately involved in what we are experiencing so that we don't have like a thought or a feeling or an experience and immediately shut it down as bad or wrong, but rather we explore the thing that may be suboptimal for us each individually and then find ways to make it more optimal and something that is conducive to our growth. So today we're really going to look at this in the context of how we're viewing our movement practice and also to explore some ways that we can optimize our movement patterns in order to feel clearer and more empowered and more confident. So I would recommend that for today's class you have a block or two, and of course if you want a pillow or a blanket for a little bit of cushioning, please grab that as well. And let's go ahead and get started off on our backs. All right, so starting off here with the block, I'm going to take it in between your thighs. So it can be this thinnest or middle level. And then with the feet firmly planted on the floor, just go ahead and relax your arms here. And just start to check in with your breath. And just noticing your breath beginning to move in and out through your nose. Now go ahead and place your hands on your thighs, just keeping that movement of the breath, and begin to lengthen your tailbone down and forward toward your heels. And then firmly pressing into the feet, we're going to use the glutes to lift your hips up here. And so just taking a moment here to notice what your pelvis is doing, right? And we want the pelvis in more of this neutral position so that we aren't kind of letting your butt sag and letting your back arch, and we're not necessarily tucking the tailbone under. Just feel the pelvis in neutral and feel the glutes active. So you can take your hands back around and just tap the glutes, give them a little bit of feedback. And now we're going to keep that inner hug of the thighs. So we're squeezing the block, and without changing in the pelvis and while still keeping the glutes active, go ahead and pop your right heel up off the floor. And then we'll let the right heel come back down and lift the left heel. And so keep going with that. And just noticing that as we add some little challenges, some little movements in here, how we can still stay tuned in and connected to our strength. Right? And if you notice maybe that one side of the glutes is a little bit harder to engage, just see if you can view that as an opportunity to bring in more attention and more awareness instead of, say, like shaming yourself for not doing something quote unquote right. Let's keep going there. Bring your arms up toward the ceiling. We'll turn the palms up, the fingers are back, and let's take the left hand to the right fingers and stretch out the wrist. And then switching hands, right hand grabs the left fingers. Hope you're feeling your glutes here. And then go ahead, let both heels come down. Whew. Let your arms come down, and then we'll slowly lower one vertebra at a time all the way back down. Now you can take your block off to the side. You're gonna keep the feet on the floor. Bring your hands behind your head, cup your skull, hug your elbows in. Take an inhale breath. Exhale and lift up off the shoulder blades. Now look down at your belly and see if you notice kind of this top layer of your abs like poking up. And see if rather you can draw the sides of the ribs in, pull the pubic bone up, pull everything down toward the floor. You're gonna feel that a little bit deeper. Inhale, lower that back down. Exhale and lift up. Side ribs in, pubic bone kind of zips up here. And now without changing any of that, can you lift your right knee up over the hip? Keep hugging everything down, pushing into the sacrum at the base of your spine. Right foot steps down. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift up. Look down at your belly. Hug everything in and down. Left knee lifts up without changing that position. Easier said than done, I know. Left foot lowers. Inhale, lower the head. Exhale, lift up. Right knee lifts this time. Hug the side ribs in, pull the pubic bone up, pull down, and then add a tiny turn to the right. And see, maybe one way in which you can hug in a little bit more, make that movement a little bit cleaner. Hug in, pull down, come back through center, right foot lowers, inhale, lower your head. Hello. Exhale, lift up. Left knee lifts up, hug in, pull down toward the sacrum, turn just about an inch or so to the left, and keep that feeling of consolidation. Back through center, left foot comes down, inhale, lower. One more time, just like that. Exhale, lift. Right knee lifts. Turn about an inch to the right. You got it. Come back through center, right foot down, inhale, lower. Last one here. Exhale, lift. Left knee lifts. Turn about an inch to the left. Keep that feeling of strength. Don't give up on yourself now. Come back through center. Left foot lowers. Inhale, lower all the way. Nice work. We're gonna roll over to your side here. And then pop yourself up into a quadruped or tabletop position. And we're gonna move into some segmental cat cows. So spread your fingers wide, shoulders are over the wrist, hips are over the knees. And now just in your tabletop position to start, feel like a nice solid posture. So I want you to feel like you're lifting your face and your throat up. Your neck is in line with your spine. And we just have a feeling of some slight engagement in the abdominals. It's always really nice to do the core work before this. You can really feel the effects. And then just start here by turning the tailbone up, softening the belly a little, and then moving all the way up the spine. So soften the mid back toward the floor, the chest, the arms can stay straight. Maybe lift your gaze slightly, and then we'll reverse that. So let the head release, lift up in between the shoulder blades, the middle back, the lower back, really lift the belly up. And now you can tuck the tailbone under a bit. And let's do that 2 more times. I'm just gonna let you do this one on your own. And really just notice the places where your spine moves really easily and really freely. And notice the places that maybe feel a little bit more restricted. And once again, just seeing how you can use your attention and you can use your focus to optimize rather than just saying, oh, I can't move here, this is wrong. Now we'll come back into that neutral tabletop. Go ahead and lower your forearms down. And for this one, we want to get the elbows right underneath of the shoulders. And so if you know you have a tendency to kind of let the elbows flare out to the sides, you can interlace your hands here. It's just going to give you a little extra support. Or you can have forearms parallel. Now let your head release. Lift up in between your shoulder blades. We're going to push down into the forearms, tuck your toes, and lift the knees up for dolphin. Now, I always find it nice to bend the knees here, and then really lift up in the hip creases. So hugging the belly in, see if you can let your neck release there, and push the floor away with the forearms. Right, and then just inviting the challenge in here. Settle back into your breath. You got one more round of breath there. And then we'll let the knees come down. And if you'd like, you can sit back for a little child's pose there if that would feel nice. And we'll come forward, step the feet up, and we'll rise all the way up to stand. Okay, so let's take the arms, bring them forward and up, and even in this position, feel the face and the throat moving back, the tailbone lengthening down. We'll keep that nice tall posture, but sit back into the hips, deepening that fold, keeping the spine long. Bring the hands down either to blocks or the floor. Step the right foot back, lower the right knee and come onto the top of the foot. So we have the hip, the right hip directly over the knee. You can bring the arms up. And then feel there that this right glute is active. So you can reach a hand back, give it a little tap. This is my weaker glute, so I need to give it a little bit of extra feedback. We'll bring both hands down to the floor. And we're going to slide the left foot back into a plank. And now feel here that you can kind of slide the shoulder blades, kind of hug them down like we're packing them in. Lift your throat up, but don't jut your chin. Squeeze your glutes. One more breath. And then come back into downward facing dog. Lifting the hips up, you can bend the knees. Really get high in the hip creases. Lifting underneath the armpits and the forearms. Right leg reaches up. Slide that foot forward as far as you can. You can always give it a helping hand there. Lower the left knee, come onto the top of the foot. Left hip is directly over the knee, bring the arms up. Feel that left glute. Give it some feedback if you need. We want this to be active here. Bring both hands down, blocks or floor. Slide the left foot up next to the right. Feel that deepening of the hip crease and the length in the spine. Rise to stand. Bring the arms forward and up. Just notice as the arms lift up, we aren't popping the ribs and arching the back. We keep that position and sit back into the hips, lengthen the spine. Left foot will step back. Lower the knee, but not the toes this time. And we'll bring the arms up again here. And this time we're going to take the left hand to the back of your head. Take the right hand to the sacrum at the base of the spine. Feel like you can draw the face back into the left hand and the pubic bone back into the right hand. Left glute is working. Bring both hands down to the floor. Plank position, slide the right foot back. Feel the shoulder blades kind of hug back, down and in. Lift the throat up. Glutes are working. One more breath. And back into downward facing dog. You can walk the feet in, bend the knees a little, lift the hip creases high. We're pushing the floor away with the hands. Left leg reaches up. Step that left foot as far forward as you can, keeping the hands on the floor or on the blocks. Lower the right knee, but not the toes. Bring the arms up. And then we'll bring the right hand behind the head and the left hand behind the sacrum. Feel the face draw back. The pubic bone draw back into the bottom hand. Both hands down, floor or blocks, and step the right foot up next to the left. Rise to stand. So we're going to move into a longer sequence here. It's going to bring us right down to the floor. So sit back into the hips, plant the hands, step the left foot back here, and keep the knee up. The left hand can be on a block or on the floor. Squeeze this left glute. Hug the left shoulder down and in as you roll open for a revolved low lunge. So lean back into that left shoulder blade. Let the left ear soften toward the left shoulder a bit here. Big breath in and out. Now we'll turn to the left, parallel the feet, side lunges. So sit back into the left hip crease, lengthen the spine here. Over to the right. You can always have the hands on blocks. Just moving side to side here. And just see if you can begin to flex at the hip. So deepen that hip crease instead of rounding in your spine. So we're just looking for ways to be clearer in our movement patterns so that we can begin to feel more embodied, stronger. Now this next time, you're going to turn around to face the back of the mat, lower your right knee in the right hand. We're coming into a modified side plank. So the left leg will kick back. You can start with that left foot on the floor. This right shoulder is over the wrist. Hug the shoulder in. So feel really strong in that shoulder blade. And maybe try to lift the left leg up. Now what we're trying to avoid is arching in the back here and letting these ribs pop out. So take your ribs, hug them in, take your tailbone and reach it toward that left foot. Right, and this is tough, this is challenging, but letting that be okay. We're learning, we're growing, we're getting stronger, and along the way, maybe it's gonna be a little bit bumpy, and that's just all part of the process. So let's look down at the floor here. We're gonna pull that left knee in, step the foot up, rise into a crescent lunge. Awesome. So soften your right knee a little bit here. Tailbone lengthen straight down and really feel that back glute working. Now, you can have your hands on your hips there, or if you need something for a little bit of balance, you can hold on to something. We're going to push down into the left foot, rise to stand, bring your right knee up. Now feel this left glute working a lot. Nice tall posture. And we're going to take this right back into a crescent lunge. So right foot steps back, tailbone lengthens down, that back knee can be soft, and rise to stand. Let's do that 3 more times. As you rise to stand, push down into the left big toe mound. And just notice that power all the way up the leg. Let's do 1 more here. Now hold it. Keep giving that left glute feedback if it needs it. Step the right foot back and open up for a warrior 2. Arms can reach forward and back. Take an inhale. Exhale, reverse your warrior, left arm reaches up and over. Think about lifting up through that left side waist. Inhale, warrior 2. Exhale, side angle, left forearm to left thigh, right arm reaches over. Lift into that right side waist. One more time, warrior two. Reverse. You can let the ear soften toward the shoulder. Warrior two. And side angle here. We're gonna windmill both hands down to the floor. Downward facing dog, reach the left leg up. So lift underneath the armpits, relax your head. Now bend the left knee, and from the top of the thigh, roll the hip open without turning in your pelvis. That might be really different from what you're used to, but just noticing how we create a little bit of structure here. It's going to allow us some more freedom in the long term. So we're in external rotation in the hip now. Bring it into internal rotation. So roll it in as you lower that left knee down underneath your hip. We're going to turn the right toes to face the back. Hug the left shoulder blade in and pick up the right elbow. The palm can turn away. I learned this move from one of my teachers, Laura Hyman. I think she calls it Stargazer. I love that name. You can just let your head relax, let your ear move toward that left shoulder. Now we're going to stay with this internal rotation in the hips as you bring the right hand down and the right knee comes in toward the left. So the thighs are kind of rolling in towards each other. We're going to revisit that segmental cat and cow here. Just softening lower back, middle back, upper back, the gaze can lift up. And then reversing that, head releases, lift between the shoulder blades, the middle back, the lower back. And just watching that you aren't just dumping into the areas that move easily, that we are exploring maybe how to get some more movement in the areas that feel a little more restricted. And we'll come back to neutral. Just kind of pivot the legs so they're straight again. Tuck the toes and we'll walk hands back toward your feet. Heels are on the floor. Get deep in the hip creases. You can come up onto the fingertips here. Have the hands on blocks, whatever you need. Take a couple deep breaths. Feel that breath in your back, in your sides. And then walk the hands back a little bit further. Turn to the right. So we're in a crossed ankle forward fold with the right foot in front of the left. And you can have the hands on blocks again if you need them here. But we're just going to wiggle the ribs a little bit side to side. Knees can be bent. And step the feet together. Rise to stand. We're going to go right into the second side. So bring the arms forward and up here. Sit back into the hips. Plant the hands. This time step the right foot back. Keep the knee lifted. Right hand can be on a block around the floor. Squeeze that right glute, hug this right shoulder in. Open up, revolved low lunge. Feeling like you can lean into the support of the right shoulder blade. Let the ear soften. And the left hand can come down. We parallel the feet to the right. Side lunges, sit back into the right hip. And then take it over to the left. And if you are new to this, or even if you aren't, it can be really nice to just get your fingers in there and encourage that movement, especially if you are used to rounding in the spine. You're really going to have to kind of rewire your brain for a slightly new movement pattern. Now we'll turn to the back, lower the left knee and the left hand, modified side plank. Right leg can go back. You can have it on the floor for now. Hug that left shoulder in. Feel this outer left hip and glute working to stabilize. Maybe that right foot lifts up. Lengthen the tailbone back toward the right foot. Hold those front ribs in. Right, and be okay with a little shake, a little wobble. Just let it be something you can celebrate. Now we'll look down at the floor, step that right foot up. Nice. Tuck the back toes under, crescent lunge, rise to stand. So soften that left knee a little bit, lengthen the tailbone just straight down. You can have the hands wherever you like. We're gonna load the right foot, rise to stand, left knee lifts. Give that right glute a little tap. Come on, do your job, helping stabilize. Left foot steps back, crescent lunge. Rise to stand. We've got 3 more of these. Even here, just noticing any differences side to side. And this last time, we're gonna hold the left knee up, push down into that right big toe mound, and slide the left foot back, open up warrior 2. Arms come forward and back, big inhale. Exhale, reverse your warrior. Lift into that right side waist. Inhale, warrior 2. Exhale, side angle, right forearm to the thigh, left arm over, lift into the left side waist. One more time, warrior 2. Reverse. Warrior 2, and side angle. Now windmill both hands down to the floor. Downward facing dog, right leg reaches up. Bend the right knee, roll the hip open from the top of the thigh without changing the pelvis. Right, so we aren't turning in the ribs. We're lifting underneath the shoulders, holding the arms strong. So we're in external rotation here. We're gonna bring that right thigh into internal rotation as we lower the knee under the hip, turn the left toes toward the back. That stargazer move again, so pick the left elbow up and flip the palm out. Keep hugging that right shoulder down and in. Big deep breaths. We'll bring the left hand down. The left knee comes in toward the right, so both thighs are in internal rotation. And just move through a few rounds of cat and cow. We'll bring the legs back to straight. Walk the hands back as we bring the feet to the floor. Sit back for the squat. Get deep in the hip creases, long in the spine. And then walk the hands around to the left. So the left foot is in front of the right, and we can just move the sides, the side ribs in this little shimmy. And uncross the feet. Let's come down to a seat, and then we're gonna roll all the way down onto your back. So I'm gonna put just a little support behind my neck. You're welcome to do the same. Let's take your feet wide on the mat. And let the knees move over to the right, but keep some activation here, so you can push into the sole of the left foot and just feel some work in that left glute. And bring the knees back up through center. Take them over to the left. Push into the sole of the right foot. Just feel some work in this right glute, helping to open up the front of the thigh. Let's do 2 more there, each side on your own. And as you're ready, we'll come into your version of Shavasana. So if you would like to have your feet flat on the floor with the knees bent, the legs straight, maybe a little prop behind your thighs. Just finding what feels the best, the most optimal for you. Feel your breath easy, your body completely supported by the floor. And let your next inhale be a little bit deeper. Your exhale a little bit slower. And you can wiggle your fingers and your toes. And as you're ready, rolling over to your side, taking a moment there. We'll eventually meet back up in a comfortable seat. If you'd like to elevate your hips on something here, go right ahead. And just notice the difference that you feel when you don't judge or criticize or shame yourself. for doing things in a way that your brain, or society, or people around you have told you is right or wrong. But rather you just look at everything as an opportunity to become more optimal, to invite more inquiry and more attention and more awareness. And as you begin to explore that just in your physical body and in your movement, notice how it begins to shift your experience elsewhere. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. As always, if you enjoyed this class, please give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe so you're not missing new classes, and as always, sharing with anyone you think these classes might benefit. So I will see you back again soon. Thank you.